Well, I think these days it's slightly overrated. People think there's a holy grail of fundamental analysis. There really isn't. Every indicator is now a commodity, whether it's return on equity or the debt level. Everybody knows what they are. We produce a stock box with them all on for every stock, the US stocks as well. Everybody knows what the fundamentals are. What I think perhaps people do or should do or can do is to look at the progression of a lot of numbers. So you look at the progression of return on equity. It's absolutely no good a broker getting on the phone and saying the PE is this and the yield's that and the ROE is that. You need to look at a progression to get a picture of a company. So we look at 7 years, we've got up to 3, sometimes 4 years worth of forecast, 3 years worth of history, and you look at the progression. So it doesn't really matter what number, or you can't overemphasize one number. It's a fundamental picture for any company, and almost all the numbers feed into that. The other bits are opinion is very important as well, and we look at broker recommendations and movements and movements in recommendations. It's always interesting when a broker changes their view and everyone's got the same view, and we can spot that. And it's also interesting to spot the upgrade downgrade cycle. Companies go into a downgrade cycle, upgrade cycle. So the banks obviously have been in a huge downgrade cycle. And that obviously bottomed as interest rates started to rise and the pandemic recovery started. So there are lots of things to look at. You can't label one in particular, but I think these days with it being a commodity, any investor should be able to very quickly get a feel for almost any company on a fundamental level. It's not rocket science anymore. It used to be something you had to read The Intelligent Investor to know how to do. Now everybody's producing it for you. It's a commodity. You should know what the fundamentals look like. Yes, well, I think everyone should use every tool available. So on page 2 of The Intelligent Investor, can you believe this? Page 2, I don't know how many pages there are, but on page 2, there's this paragraph which completely dismisses technical analysis as fallacious. And it stuck a wall up between two groups of investors, and you were either one or the other. And I think a lot of fundamental investors feel they've got the value high ground, and that the people who are using charts are up in the middle of the night with sunken eyes and McDonald's mayonnaise down the front of their t-shirts, and that this is really superficial stuff, when the truth of the matter is it all helps. So we use charts very much to determine our sector bets, which is which sectors are changing direction. We're looking for big pivot points, not daily trading pivot points. We're looking for when a sector has had some fundamental change which creates a technical change. So working together. But the charts are the best way to gauge sentiment, trend, and you can't just dismiss them and look at fundamentals. You will never make money just out of fundamentals. You'll certainly never time the market or time a stock using fundamentals. I'll give you I can tell you a lot of stocks that don't have any fundamentals at all, but are great bets. And I'll give you one, which is there are industries that go nuts sometimes, like buy now, pay later has obviously been the most obvious over the last couple of years. And that is an industry that's replacing the credit card industry. There's huge business. It's still growing. You look at Zip and Afterpay's last quarterly sales numbers, and you'll see they're still explosive, and yet people are saying, oh, it's enough. And Afterpay now is what? It's 48% off the top or something. It's going to continue to go. But there's another industry that is just happening, not just happening, it's mature in Australia, but it's exploding in America, and that's online betting. And the US is allowing the individual states to determine their own futures on online betting. Around 20 states, I think there was another one this week, have decided to adopt online betting, and suddenly we've got Shaq and Mark Wahlberg on our TVs. And there's one company in the middle of that is white labeling betting platforms. So you could have the Livewire Bet366 platform if you wanted by going to these people, and they will set a platform up for you, and you can put your brand on it. And that's BetMakers, and they are seemingly about to do a deal with Tabcorp as well. They're another of these companies doesn't appear on fundamentals to make any money at all, but they will. It'll come.